Let's take a look at the Summarize Group Discussion speaking task. I'll walk you through what you need to do, how the task is structured, and how it's scored. Plus, I'll share some tips on how to take notes effectively before showing you what a top scoring response looks like. First, let's talk about what this task involves. So, in the Summarize Group Discussion task, you will listen to a conversation between 3 people. Your job is to summarize the entire discussion, capturing what each person says, thinks, and possibly even feels. The discussions you'll hear are academic in nature. They include scenarios such as students discussing a lecture they attended, where they share opinions or clarify concepts or debate key points. Groups talking about challenges they're facing in a course, such as difficulties with assignments or project coordination or study strategies. Or you might hear something like a professor and students discussing an upcoming assignment where the professor might give guidance and the students raise concerns or questions. The key here is that you're not just summarizing facts. You need to capture the main points of the conversation, the perspectives of each speaker, and how their ideas connect. Now, let me show you what this question looks and sounds like. So, you're going to hear 3 people having a discussion, and when you hear the beep, summarize the whole discussion. You'll have 10 seconds to prepare and 2 minutes to give your response. At the top of the screen, you'll see the instructions. These are always the same for every summarized group discussion task. Underneath the instructions, there'll be an audio box. At the bottom, you'll see a status bar that shows the progress of the audio. You'll have a few seconds to quickly read the instructions before the audio starts automatically, so be ready. The audio will last between 2.5 and 3 minutes. You'll only hear it once, so you've got to stay focused right from the start. Since the audio is quite long and you'll only hear it once, it's essential that you take effective notes while listening. We'll talk about that in a second. Once the audio finishes, you'll have 10 seconds to prepare before the microphone opens. You'll see the status bar change to recording. You need to begin speaking when the microphone opens. Don't wait too long or you'll miss your chance to respond. You'll have up to 2 minutes to summarize the discussion, but you don't need to speak for that full 2 minutes. Those 2 minutes are your chance to show how well you've understood the conversation and how clearly you can summarize it. The key is to organize your thoughts logically and speak confidently. Let's listen to part of a sample group discussion to get a feel for the type of conversation you'll hear.
3 students are discussing time management at university.
There are a lot of challenges for us at university. It's not just doing well in the courses. We have to be able to balance the academic work with the personal life and also find time to join some extracurricular activities. I mean, I don't want my years at university to be only studying and writing papers.
I know. There's just so much to do. I have to get to the lectures, do all the readings and assignments, complete several projects, and get ready for exams. I hardly have time to breathe.
You know, it's true. My biggest challenge since I started university is managing my time.
So that was just a portion of the conversation. Remember, the full discussion you'll hear in the actual test is going to be between 2.5 minutes and 3 minutes long. Staying focused throughout is really important because you don't get to listen again. Now, let's talk about how your response is scored. So this is a partial credit task where you earn points based on 3 main criteria: content, fluency, and pronunciation. By now you should be aware of what pronunciation and oral fluency mean. They're the same as they are in the other PTE Academic speaking tasks. So let's just focus on what's unique to this particular task: content. Content is key to a high score. So to score well on content, you need to summarize the entire group discussion accurately, provide as much detail as possible about what each speaker says, thinks, and feels. Ensure your response is original, so no memorized templates or anything pre-prepared. Use a variety of appropriate expressions. Connect your ideas smoothly using linking words like however, on the other hand, and as a result, and use appropriate language. One common mistake is missing out on what one of the speakers says or misrepresenting what they say. Remember that you need to correctly summarize all 3 speakers' points of view to get full marks for content. Now, let's talk about how to take notes effectively because good notes will help you to deliver a great summary. A simple and effective approach is to take notes based on each speaker. So before the audio begins, write down something like topic, speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3, and leave space between them so you can fill them with lots of notes. As you listen, jot down the topic, what it is they're talking about, as well as the main ideas, opinions, and feelings each speaker expresses. You don't need to write, in fact, you can't write full sentences. Just jot down keywords, phrases, or shorthand, whatever you can manage that will prompt your memory when you go to speak out loud. For example, your notes might look something like this. This approach makes it way easier to organize your summary because you'll already have each speaker's contributions categorized. Just be mindful that the speakers won't just speak in a row 1, 2, 3. It'll chop and change, so you need to be aware of who's who and add notes to each speaker as you listen. All right, now that you know what's expected, it's time to put your skills into practice. I want you to take a shot at summarizing a group discussion. You need to listen carefully, you need to take structured notes, then you need to summarize clearly and confidently. After you try it yourself, we'll come back together and we'll review your approach and I'll share a top scoring sample response so you can see what an excellent answer sounds like.
3 students are discussing time management at university.
There are a lot of challenges for us at university. It's not just doing well in the courses. We have to be able to balance the academic work with the personal life and also find time to join some extracurricular activities. I mean, I don't want my years at university to be only studying and writing papers.
I know. There's just so much to do. I have to get to the lectures, do all the readings and assignments, complete several projects, and get ready for exams. I hardly have time to breathe.
You know, it's true. My biggest challenge since I started university is managing my time. I can't seem to get myself organised, and I always feel stressed and exhausted. And the worst thing is that I just seem to get organised and the term ends and I have to get used to a whole new schedule.
I agree. That is really difficult. Each course has its own schedule, deadlines, and requirements. It's so difficult to create a consistent routine so I can allocate my time effectively. And everything seems to take longer than I thought.
The worst part is that I often procrastinate and put off tasks until the last minute. I think to myself, oh, I have lots of time for that. I have a whole week before it's due. Then all of a sudden, the due date is in 2 days and I'm rushed and don't do a very good job.
That's happened to me so many times. The deadlines are weeks or months away, and I have trouble with long-term planning. It's hard to plan so far ahead, but you have to, or you end up rushed. The problem is that you have to learn to multitask, and I was never very good at that. I like to finish one project and start on another. But that's impossible when all the projects and essays are due at the same time at the end of the term. You really have to be able to multitask at university. You have to be able to jump from one topic to another and one type of assignment to another.
And just when you think everything's under control, your computer crashes.
If I could manage my time better, I probably wouldn't be so stressed and exhausted. I've never had to discipline myself like this before. In high school, the teachers told you what to do and when to do it. If you just did what they said, you were fine. But in university, it's up to you to prioritize what tasks are the most important and should be done first. It seems I spend too much time on less important tasks because I like them or they're easier. Then I don't have time for the more important ones.
I guess not managing your time effectively means that you end up working more than you really need to, and you feel so tired and sort of burnt out. I think the university offers a seminar on time management. Maybe we should all go.
So, how did you find that summarized group discussion task? Were you able to take effective notes and complete the task confidently? How long did you actually speak for? Don't worry if you found it challenging. I'm going to help you out here. Let's start by looking at the transcript from the audio. We'll just listen to the first 30 seconds of the audio while following along with the transcript.
There are a lot of challenges for us at university. It's not just doing well in the courses. We have to be able to balance the academic work with the personal life and also find time to join some extracurricular activities. I mean, I don't want my years at university to be only studying and writing papers.
I know. There's just so much to do. I have to get to the lectures, do all the readings and assignments, complete several projects, and get ready for exams. I hardly have time to breathe.
So, when you took notes, it's crucial to identify the main topic and note down the subtopics and clearly indicate who said what. Personally, I find the easiest approach is to jot down each speaker's name and the number, like speaker 1, and then write their main thoughts and opinions underneath each one. This way, you can more easily track the flow of the conversation and summarize it accurately. And you can show the interrelationships between the speakers as well, whether they agreed or disagreed with each other. Okay, so what does a strong response sound like? Let's listen to this high-scoring sample response while looking at the transcript of what the test taker said. The three speakers were talking about the various challenges they face at university, especially with respect to time management. So the first speaker talked about his concerns about his workload. He seemed very concerned and somewhat stressed. He mentioned that he had no consistency in what he does. And he had a particular concern about the length of the course and some of the workload. He also mentioned something interesting, which was around challenges with his computer crashing. That was kind of said in relation to his time management issues. The second speaker also talked about the number of lectures and projects and exams that they have and said that they're not very good with time management as well, especially because of procrastination. And this speaker mentioned that they have lots of, or that they rush when there's a deadline because they tend to find themselves focusing on things that interest them rather than things that are important. This person also mentioned an issue with discipline and made a comparison with high school where teachers sort of tell you what to do or provide your schedule, whereas at university you have greater autonomy over what you're supposed to do. The third speaker agreed with much of what was said and also had an issue with procrastination, the same as speaker 2. The third speaker talked about time management issues, stress, and also exhaustion, being tired. The third speaker talked about long-term planning as key and also multitasking as an important attribute, but said that this is sort of challenging to achieve. In the end, the third speaker mentioned something about a seminar on time management and suggested that they attend that because it might help them out. So that was my response. You can see my notes here. They're extremely messy. I can barely read them. That's actually probably part of the challenge, to make sure you can actually read your own notes. Was my response perfect? Not by any stretch. There were quite a few ums and ahs in there, but what I did do was capture the main topic, and I feel as though I correctly identified the details from each speaker, and I tried to make relationships between what they were saying, what they agreed on, what the similarities or overlaps were. So we've now covered the summarized group discussion task and what you need to do on test day. Let's quickly recap some of the main points. So you need to identify the main topic and the supporting details that were said by each of the speakers. Try to organize your summary logically. Mention each of the speakers' contributions and point out areas of agreement or disagreement. So with this question type, the key is all about staying focused during the listening section, taking clear notes and summarizing the discussion accurately and fluently. The best way to improve? Practice summarizing different discussions and use the strategies that we've talked about today. You've got this. Good luck.